Quick disclaimer before the video, there's no story time coming this month. I've been in a hardcore funk since last week, and I couldn't bring myself to keep working on that other video. What you're about to watch was recorded and edited pre-funk. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you around. Hello, welcome to the channel if you're new here, and if you're not new here, then here's another video around Christmas time. No, this isn't the storytime video that I was talking about in my last one. That's still coming out. But what we've got now is my process for Adam's storytime map for his taxi but not experiences. And just before I get into that, let's take a quick look at it again at the portion that I edited.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time, I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
Alright, so that's the part that I did, and I'm gonna walk you all through from beginning to end how I got here. So, for starters, when I joined the map, he had it split up into like 25 different parts, and each of us had to pick a part that we wanted to do. With each part, he already had his audio recorded, and we could just make whatever we wanted based on that. His only real guide for us was we needed to have his character in it, and we had to have a certain other character done a certain way. I don't know if it's weird saying it like that, but I feel better saying it that way, I guess. So, for starters, I had to listen to just the raw audio more than a billion times to try and get the mental picture in my head of what I thought was going on.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time, I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
He also didn't want it to be just talking head portions, but it was kind of hard for my bit that I picked, which I only picked because I knew I'd be smack in between Alex Animation Corner and Who Is The Guy, and Pringle Pals gotta stick together, everybody. Before I really did anything, I had to nail down how I was going to draw Adam. So firstly, I just went to listen to the audio and look at all of Adam's other videos and look at pictures of him and try and figure out how exactly I'd represent him. If I would just take his character and then translate that to my style, or draw Adam more how he looks in real life. So first things first, this is the variation of Adam that I drew in my sketchbook, and I was thinking that this would be a good model to go for, but after a little bit of tweaking to it, I ended up making him look more like him, because I thought that just fit better. So from this, I did a little bit of tweaking and came around to this. And this is just a turnaround, which for larger production animations, this is a helpful thing to have, because it can help you make a model sheet that lets you keep track of how characters are supposed to look from different angles. It's really good, really helpful, makes sure that your characters don't change sizes and proportions throughout a production. For the 11 seconds that I had, this was overkill. This was something I probably shouldn't have done and just run with an initial design, because in the 11 seconds that I have, I've got Adam pretty much from the front and from a 3/4 view facing right for the majority of it. There's no none of these other angles are used. You never see Adam from the back. He doesn't face to the left. So I still like it. You also don't really get to see his feet. You kind of get to see some of his legs when he's in the car, but you don't get to see his feet, which it's fine. I didn't put too much detail down there anyway. So now that I had Adam set the way that he was supposed to be drawn, it was time to make sure that Jameson was drawn the way he was supposed to be drawn. So following much of the same kind of principles, I've got Jameson here. I found a bunch of pictures of him online because they're not hard to find after you do a face reveal and go to VidCon. But yeah, got pictures of Jameson, looked at that, and I was like, alright, how am I gonna really translate him to a character like this? I just left Jameson as Jameson was, and I put him in his favorite shirt, as he said in his buying clothes video, because I thought that would be enough to make him stand out, I guess, in case my art style didn't like carry that over, because I do have trouble, I think, making people look the way they're supposed to look when I try to make them look all anime-esque. So now that I had Adam and Jameson drawn, and I knew what I was going to go for there, I had to sort of plan out how the animation itself would go. And even though it was supposed to be not talking heads, I couldn't really think of a good way to do the part where sometimes you won't get so lucky, all the way up to his nice sassy black mama. I knew I wanted him to have the particular head motions that he does, but I couldn't think of a better way to do it without him really just walking down the street. And then in the car, well, I'll just play my initial rough of how the whole thing was supposed to play out. And it's just super rough. It's a storyboard.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time, I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
So that's that. I was going to take that and put it in my animation program. This particular animation is the first one that I've done from start to finish in Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint has animation features, and I've wanted to kind of start moving away from Adobe Animate just because I can't get the look that I want in Adobe Animate. And if you saw my Dark Tales video, then I drew everything in Clip Studio, but I didn't think I could really pull off the look, I think, without doing it in Animate the way that I needed to. So that video was done with a combination of the two, but this 11 seconds here is the first video that I've done start to finish in Clip Studio. And the story time that I'm going to be uploading around Christmas time is the first video that I'll have done on my own, like start to finish. That'll be entirely Clip Studio with regards to animation, because for a while now I've been using it for backgrounds, but that's a completely different thing. So for now, we had to take this and basically transcribe it over into Clip Studio so that way I could start roughing it out there and getting all of my, plan it out.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time, I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
So the real interesting thing about working on anything is at the beginning you've got one idea for how it's supposed to go. And for me anyway, the more I work on it and the more I go through it, certain things have to change or get tweaked. There's stuff that I can't change once I start, but based on like my initial storyboarded rough to what I ended up with, I thought that it would probably be a little bit too complicated or more time consuming to do the thing where Adam like leans forward in the car. Part of me wishes I would have stuck with that, but looking back at the rough, it does look kind of jank. Like I didn't really know how to make his body look correct in that. So I changed that to just having them be in the back. And I wanted Jameson to be on his phone like playing Tetris or something, and that's why Adam would have talked to his not taxi driver. But I also couldn't really work that in there, not for lack of trying, but more due to the time crunch of it all. I had to find a more efficient way to tell the same story. So from this rough where I've like planned out more or less the key poses, I just started cleaning it up bit by bit.
Sometimes,
from
though,
there.
You don't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time,
like getting some more of the storytelling frames, more key frames, I guess. Some of these are breakdowns, but
sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time,
and so with this one, I finally got the head motion down more or less the way I wanted it to. and I added a couple more poses here and there that would add life to it.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to.
So by this point, I've got the lip sync mapped out the way that I want it to be mapped out, and I really need, like the lip sync to kind of be done in the rough stage, because everything else is just gonna get cleaned up later. A big problem that I made for myself with this is I used my like initial rough version of Adam for all of the animation that I was doing here when I was going to make him look more realistic in the final product. And that's an issue because his hair and his horns aren't, well, his hair isn't there, and because his hair isn't there, his horns aren't in the right place. And also because I just kept the bald head and I never drew his actual chin on my rough models and like did all my animation with that. That means I had to like draw his head in on there and his ears, and the only thing that stayed where it was supposed to was his hands. So that was fun to try and fix.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time...
Ultimately, I think it turned out fine. It's just a little bit weird because his hair was supposed to stay on screen, but it starts moving off screen because that's just where it ended up going using the guides that I placed. Quick note on the lip syncing. With previous lip syncing, what I'd tried doing was making it so that way the mouth shapes that you saw on screen matched exactly what should be coming out of my mouth, more or less based on the script. But after looking through the Animator's Survival Kit, I started changing my lip syncing to more kind of go with how your mouth would actually move when you're talking, because you don't perfectly enunciate everything that you say. Your mouth just kind of like blorps between the different shapes. So I tried to keep that with Adam's mouth when he's talking. If you're doing lip sync, try and keep that in mind. Try and like actually make the sounds with your own mouth and like follow the mouth shapes that you're doing, so that way it looks a little bit more believable. And also from the Animator Survival Kit book, try and have your lip sync happen just a bit before the actual sound, because your mouth has to make the O shape before the O actually comes out. It just flows better, because then you'll see the mouth shape and then like 2 frames later or something, the sound will come out, and it just works better. So once I had the lip sync and the movements all where I wanted them, I colored it. So after I had all of that done, I put the background in there.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time...
And the thing about the background that I thought was kind of funny was I tried to put some Easter eggs in there, like on this one here, the like croissant sandwich in the background is nothing. It's just there. I thought it would add life to it. There's no real reference for the hours. That's just there. But there's a little Pringle Pals thing, and ba-boom ba-bam, that's neat. Also the background for this was actually way longer because I didn't know how much like space I would need. So this is the full background that Adam would walk past, and there's some bars on the door that aren't colored because Adam never ended up like the way that it's there, but the way that Adam ended up in front of it, you never see it, because never get a good look at it, because you'll likely be paying attention to Adam's face more than anything. Also, if we stop it right here, then you can see that I actually forgot to color his tongue in. So there's a brief moment where there's just a hole in his face. If you caught that, then consider yourself a smart cookie that pays attention to the little things and not stupid like me, who left this big crazy thing out. Also on that same frame, I didn't draw the arm on his glasses connecting to his ear. What the heck? All right, so from there, I had to start working on the second half of it. And the second half pretty much goes the same way. I'm not going to draw this video out any longer than it needs to show you that, but we can show you part 2.
I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
But yeah, the second part more or less plays out the same way. There's just you don't want to see all of that. If you do, then let me know. This slide here that Adam does out of frame, that was done in Premiere, obviously. Or not obviously. That was done in Premiere. Because I don't think it would have been easy to do that in Clip Studio at the time. Another quick thing about Clip Studio, when I was doing this project, I wanted to have lip sync in there because firstly, Adam wanted lip sync in there, and secondly, it's a special project, so you got to put lip sync in there. Clip Studio Paint did not have audio tracks when I started doing this project, so the way that I ended up doing the lip sync was I had to use Premiere, and I made sure that Premiere was going at 24 frames per second, which is what I animate at. So that way I could figure out about which frames I needed to have like the keyframes for the mouths at. And that was crazy. Even crazier is 3 days after I finished my part, Clip Studio got the update that included audio tracks. And I was like, great, that's absolutely perfect. So from there, we get into the second part where it's just a background. I really like the pencil line drawing for the lines of the background. I think it helps the characters and other moving things stand out from it. I'm gonna keep that going until I get sick of it. And then, it's just some simple animations in the car to not have it just be so stagnant. I wanted to have shadows somewhere. I don't worry too much about shading because Mulan doesn't have any character shading, and that's a Disney movie, so if Disney doesn't have to do it, I don't have to do it. Haha. But I thought that it would look weird if they were just plopped on the car. So to try and add some life to that, I put shadows underneath them in the car. So Jameson's shadow is a bit more harsh because he doesn't really move that much, so I thought that would work. But because Adam does shift himself around, I thought that it wouldn't really work out. I didn't think it would work out super well if I had his super rough, so his are a bit softer, and I think when you're just watching it normal speed, you can feel the space that Adam takes up and that he is in the car indeed. But you don't really notice, oh wait, the shadow doesn't move. And that's the full video, and we can watch it through one last time to knock it completely out of the way. So if you're new here, thanks for popping by to check in. If you like what Adam's got, I'm sure you'll like what I've got. So if you subscribe, you will not be disappointed in the future. And here goes our last little playthrough of that.
Sometimes, though, you won't get so lucky having a nice, sassy black mama with you to talk to. 'Cause this one time, I was with my buddy Jameson driving in our taxi thing, and I decided to spark up conversation with our driver.
Hark the herald angels sing.